Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, this is your instructor Aisha Hussain Khan. I welcome you here with the chapter 3 of Pressman book, that is on Agile development. Before starting with the current topic on Agile development, we'll first see the summary of the previous lecture, in which we have learned about a generic process model, and we have seen different process flows like linear flow, iterative flow, and evolutionary flow. Then we focused on how we can identify a task set and what basically constitutes a task set. And we have covered the description for process patterns, and we have basically seen different types of patterns as well. Then finally we have covered the standards that are basically used for process assessment and improvement, and the last topic was on prescriptive process models, in which we studied various conventional models like waterfall model, incremental model, and evolutionary model, different types like prototyping and spiral model. So today's outline is focused on agile development, that constitutes the following topics: the manifesto for agile software development. Then we'll discuss what is agility. Then there is a comparison of agile and cost of change. Then we study basically what is an agile process completely. We'll have a list of principles for agile development. And finally, we see how human factors are applied, and various agile development models will be discussed at the end. So we're starting with our first topic, that is on manifesto for agile software development. That is basically we are focused on finding out the reason why we are moving towards agile development. So this vision is basically illustrated by Kent Beck and his companions. So we can find out the different approaches, or we can say the different points listed here, that we are moving towards the better development process that is focused on individual and interactions over processes and tools. Like we are giving the top priority towards the customer satisfaction. And second point is giving you the vision that working software are over comprehensive documentation. Like if you remember or you can recall waterfall model, you see that we have a great focus on documentation. Now our prior concern is the work product or working software in short iterations. Third point, basically customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Like you already taken the requirements in the initial phase and then continue the process through the contract negotiation. But in this case, we highly prefer the changes throughout the development process. So we basically condemn the approach of contract negotiation. And finally, we can sum up it as that we respond to changes over following a plan. Like if you can say that there is a list of requirements that are predefined, or you can say that the items that are on the right, you need to value the items that are on the left more. That is, you need to respond to changes at your top concern. See, the agile development basically giving you the flexible approach throughout the development process, and it prefers individual interactions or customer satisfaction at its prime level. Now we'll focus at the definition of agility, that it basically corresponds to change. The first point is focusing on changes. That is, it is highly adaptive and in nature and follows the changes rapidly. So it also ensures effective communication among all stakeholders, and you can say that drawing the customer onto the team. Basically, you need to have the customer negotiation or interaction throughout the development process. That is, team will collaborate with the customer or stakeholder till the final product is delivered to the user. And also the final point is giving you that it is a team oriented process. You need to form or organize a team so that it is in control of the work it performs. Like it is the autonomous team or an independent team that will make its own rules or formulates its own ideas that how it will basically in cope with the all requirements and following the rapid incremental delivery of software. So this is the underlying flow that the agile development is following. Rapid incremental delivery of software. So coming towards agility and the cost of change. We are basically interested in finding out the impact of change on cost using agile processes and using conventional software processes. So for this purpose, we are basically formulating a graph that is having development schedule progress at x-axis and development cost at y-axis, that is dependent on progress. So here are two separate lines. The black solid line is representing cost of change using conventional software process, and the gray line is indicating the cost of change using agile processes. Now, starting with the cost of change using conventional software processes, we can see that it is showing a non-linear increase with respect to development cost. How is it possible? Let us see that initially in our initial phases like requirement gathering or initial design phases, if there is any change that occurs, it will not impact the cost to that extent. But what if we do some changes later in the testing phase or validation phase, where all the product has been at its end stages or in its build stage? So it will give a devastating increase in the cost, development cost. Here this rise is basically showing you the increase of cost that is basically incorporated due to the changes. And whereas the graph for agile process that basically facilitates all the changing requirements will show you a flattened graph throughout the development process. Initially, there is, due to more chances of change, we can say that we have a little raised graph for agile process, but actually all the changes slightly enter time to time within the development process will basically make it more cost effective. We are basically flattening the graph of or you can say the rise of cost in agile process. And here comes the dotted line that is giving you the idealized cost of change using agile process. Like it is basically having a linear flow starting with the little raise, but all you can say here that it is the smooth line that is coming towards the end and showing you the great progress. So students, this slide is presenting you a description on an agile process. Here are some of the salient features for an agile process. We can see that it is basically driven by customer descriptions of what is basically required in the particular situation, and this is commonly known as a scenario. So after having the focus on a scenario, we have that we will build those requirements in a short iterations. So it will recognize that plans are basically short-lived, and it develops software iteratively with a heavy emphasis on construction activities. Like I already told you, that it will focus on a work product rather than an extensive documentation. Deliver multiple software increments as it is iterative, so it will result in various increments, and it will adapt a change as it occurs. It is very important concern for an agile process that it will have a focus on changes. It is highly adaptable. So coming to the agility principles that are basically have been segregated in 1 and 2 parts, we will first focus on agility principle, basic agility principles that is listed in agility principle 1. So we have, starting with the first one, we have our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of a valuable software. That is, it is very important that we will deliver the product in short iterations and having the customer satisfaction on it. Secondly, we welcome changing requirements very rapidly, even late in development process. Like in conventional approaches, we won't welcome them in late in development as it will cost you a lot. So agile processes basically harness change for the customer's competitive edge. The changing requirements are basically giving the edge to customers as it basically reduces the overall budget as well. And deliver working software frequently as it delivers the software in short iterations. So we can say that we are basically frequently delivering the short iterations for that last for a couple of weeks to couple of months. So we have short time scale for delivering our release or increment, with the preference to the shorter time scale, like this one that is mentioned here, a couple of weeks to a couple of months. Fourth point is basically telling you that business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. So it is very important that you need to take your customers along with your development decisions. So you basically are having, throughout the development process, you are having the interaction with the concerned persons. Now the fifth point is telling you that these projects are built around the motivated individuals. As I already added previously, that it is a team-oriented approach, and this team is basically, you can say it is an autonomous team. By saying autonomous, it means they can take their decisions by themselves. We need to just give them a supported environment they want, and we need to put the trust them to get the job done. Basically, we should show our trust in them so we can get the desired product through them in the respected time frame. So the last point is giving you that the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is a face-to-face conversation. It highly prefers the communication means to be face-to-face communication, or you can say in a single room we allow the communication among the stakeholders and the development team. Now continuing with the agility principles, here we can see the seventh point that is focused on a working software is the primary measure of progress. Now, if we want to measure the progress using agile principles, we will show it by the delivered product, that is basically delivered in short intervals to customer, and we can have the customer satisfaction on it. So that work product will tell you about the progress. The 8th point is basically focusing on the continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. That is, it is a continuous process throughout the development that is focused on excellent technical basically aspects and the design aspects as well. The 9th point is giving you the concept of simplicity, that is the art of maximizing the amount of work done. It is focusing on the amount of work done in the short intervals. That's why it is a simple approach. 10th point, the best architectures, requirements and design emerge from self-organizing team. This self-organizing is basically a second name given to the autonomous team. That is, this team can take their decisions by their own. So the best kind of architectures, the kind of requirements and the design that are basically emerge from self-organizing teams. And the last point, that at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. That is, they will have continuous meetings throughout the development process with customers and other stakeholders, and then they will find out more effective ways to cope with the results. So these basically agile principles are forming the base for agile development. This slide is presenting you human factors. There are some key traits that must exist among the people on an agile team and the team itself. And these key traits are basically, first one is competence. The team should be highly competent. They should be well aware of all the resources and the development process so they can complete the requirements in due time. Secondly, they should have a common focus. As it is a team-oriented approach, so they should come at a single point or make a single decision and then move with the flow. Thirdly, collaboration. That is, throughout the development process, you need to collaborate with the customer and the stakeholders so to get the requirements in time and to satisfy the customer. Then we have decision making ability. As I already told you that it is basically the responsibility of a team to make the decisions themselves. So this ability should be remarkable and they can make good decisions at the trivial points. Fuzzy problem solving ability. It is basically a complex natured problem that should be solved at a particular time, and this capability should be instilled in the team. And then we have mutual trust and respect. They should show the trust and respect to each other. Finally, we have self-organization. Means that they can easily organize themselves throughout the development process to acquire the desired results. So finally, the closing remarks on agile modeling by Scott Ambler. Basically, he suggests a set of agile modeling principles that are we should model with a purpose, and secondly, using multiple models like iterative and incremental approach is being followed here. Then we will travel light, like we are delivering a product in short increments with respect to the time frame. And then the content is more important than representation. That is, we are focused on working deliverables. Second last, that know the models and the tools you use to create them. That is, you should have a sound knowledge, or you can say a good technical knowledge beforehand. And finally, we should adapt locally. It is very important point that we should be highly adaptable in our approach. So these are the basic features for agile modeling we should follow in our different models. So thank you, students. In our next session, we will learn about the different models that are basically based on agile principles.